Welcome back to 52 Lockup. I am your Apple Teeny Camera Bitten Apple TV. 52 Lockup is a series I started to talk about one of my biggest passions, true crime. So, a nude episode, did I say nude? I'm sorry. A new episode on every Cad Maniac week for 52 weeks, 52 crimes. Hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to like, leave some feedback, subscribe, and of course, always, viewer discretion is always advised. So, I deeply apologize for this episode being late. So I thought I was going to be reading a simple case, and then I just went down the rabbit hole. Because today, we're heading over to Russia. Russia, my dears. I tried to find as much information as I could for today's episode, but we need to, backtrack. So first, we're going to talk about the Wagner Group, which basically has their own two male versions of Amanda Blake Waller, making their own Suicide Squad. Without all the fun parts, because when you read a comic or you're watching it in the big screen, you're like, this is only entertainment. This will never be real life, right? But I digress. So, comic book Argus, real life Wagner Group is reported to have begun with Dmitry Valerek Utkin, right? Allegedly, right? Now, this is how it's kind of found out in the stories. But Dmitry was born on June 11th, 1970. Geminis, the village of Somlino, Kirovograd, of the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic, formerly known as USSR, also known as Soviet Ukraine, because it was one of the constituent republics of the Soviet Union from 1922 to 1981. Now, very little I can find about his personal life, besides him marrying a woman called, named Elena, and I apologize, Shchervinina. They divorced apparently in the early 2000s. Otherwise, all I hear about is the military, right? He served in the special forces, in the GRU, Russian military intelligence, where he became lieutenant colonel. He would leave the military in 2013 to go work for a private military company called Moran Security Group, where it was actually founded by Russian military veterans who had global missions that focused on security training, and they specialized apparently in security against piracy. These missions included, senior Moran Security Group managers being involved with setting up the Hong Kong-based Slavonic Corps, which hunted down contractors to protect oil fields and pipelines in Syria during their civil war. I know, I sound like I'm telling a comic book story. You're like, that's not real. It is. So the Wagner Group has many names, like PMC Wagner. PMC is private military, right? Was actually created by Dmitry, right? Now, Dmitry has a record of having 4 Orders of Courage of Russia. Now, this award can be given to citizens. It's given basically from the Russian Federation, who shows their dedication to the country, their courage, their bravery in protecting public order, fighting crime, and rescuing people during natural disasters, fires, accidents, and even other emergencies, as well as for bold and decisive actions committed during the performance of the military or civil duties under the conditions involving a risk to life, right? It is the ultimate pledge of allegiance to their country, and this can be received multiple times, apparently even the same person. So he was just racking up. While we're counting up awards and who deserves what kind of award, Dmitry was just racking up those awards, right? And his dedication to the Kremlin. So this private military company is a Russian paramilitary organization, right? So this includes a network, right? Wagner has a network of mercenaries, or a de facto private army for Russian President Vladimir Putin, everyone's famous, favorite Thanos. It is stated that they are to operate beyond the law in Russia, which I'm sure everyone knows. If anyone's operating outside the law, that can be a bit problematic. So Wagner Group has also apparently been linked to neo-Nazism and far-right extremism. So how did they get so popular? Well, it turns out that they were heavily involved in the Kremlin's effort to capture the city of Bakhmut in eastern Ukraine back in February 2014. That's right, we're going back a bit. The Russo-Ukrainian War, when it truly began its international conflict that went on for years and years, where Russia had annexed Crimea from Ukraine, and Wagner supported the pro-Russian separatists fighting the Ukrainian military in the Donbas War. We're talking 8 years of naval accidents, cyber warfare, propaganda, and continued heightened political tensions. It seemed like people were paying attention, but they weren't paying attention, and then the world was got a real taste of the concern about the Ukrainian issues that they were having, right? So they faced what the world was facing, along with the Ukrainians, in February 2022, when Russia launched its full invasion into Ukraine. So let's go back. Let's go back again, right? Donbas War, right, is in Ukraine. The Wagner Group helped the separatist force. They were like, let's get them. We're going to get them. So because of this, they became really, really popular. Everyone's like, hey, you want some shit done? This is who you got to call. You got to call Dmitry. That's our boy. So they were involved in global conflicts like civil wars in Syria, Mali, to support General Khalifa Haftar in Libya. They even guarding diamond mines in the Central African Republic or gold mines in Sudan. They were basically fighting for anyone who pledged their allegiance to the Kremlin. If you're wondering if Wagner, in the midst of all this stuff, they're like, man, these guys sound busy. Did they ever commit war crimes? Yes. So apparently these war crimes would include rape, robbery, civilian torture, the normal villaging and pillaging kind of thing. So Dmitry Ukin has been considered allegedly as one of the founders, but this dream would not be possible if it wasn't headed by a rich businessman, our Manderwaller Yevgeny Prigozhin, as well, whose name is Putin's chef because of how much he caters to him. I mean, I would call it like willingly bending over or like brown nosing, but who's naming names? let's just move past that. So we have a military professional and a rich guy, Amanda Waller, like that, right? So now we have the Wagner Group, right? Now they have this notoriety. They're like, hey, we help you. We're doing things. But the war crimes that they have committed have even caused a former commander claim asylum in Norway after witnessing war crimes in Ukraine. So, 3 mercenaries have allegedly, by Ukrainian prosecutors were accused to have killed and tortured civilians near Kyiv in April 2022, right after the war started. German intelligence says that they even massacred civilians in Bucha in March 2022. The UN and French government accused them of, again, committing rapes and robberies against civilians in the Central African Republic. The U.S. even accused them of planting landmines and explosives just, around the Libyan capital. So these guys are busy. They're like, every bad guy's like favorite dream. They're like, ooh, I see you, Wagner. So those that hire them, it's weird because they describe the Wagner Group as courageous and selfless. I guess I could see that, like, if someone's willing to, like, kill and die at my command, and I was just like, hey, what's a really polite propagandist kind of word to like use to describe these people to keep from the public from looking into it? I'd be like, oh my god, they're courageous and selfless. I get it. So now, right, Wagner has now a minimum of 50,000 fighters in Ukraine. Now, they are imperative to the Ukraine invasion, right? I'm sorry, campaign. People like to say campaign. Sorry, my bad. The organization began recruiting in larger numbers last year because you know what's weird? Russia, when they invaded Ukraine, they couldn't find anyone to join the army. They were like, why nobody wants to come fight? It was really weird. It's crazy how that happened. So Wagner decided, we're going to build an army. So they now have 80% of their private army pulled from prisons. Yeah, just like Suicide Squad. So instead of former experienced soldiers and special forces, they now have 80% of their forces from prison. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, that can't be legal because mercenary forces are illegal in Russia. They are. But they're not because Wagner Group registered as a company in 2022 to open up their new headquarters in St. Petersburg. They would promote their headlines as recruiting in the city on all the billboards as a patriotic organization. That sounds so familiar. Anyway, I'm getting off track. Anyway, so we've come a long way, right, for this story. So now that we understand Wagner is out there playing Suicide Squad, one of the men that they have recruited was Ivan Rossomakhin. Now, Ivan was known to be a troublemaker in his village, right? He's not the he's one troublemaker. He's a serious troublemaker. So in 2019, a woman would chase him away from her plot of land. She's like, get out of here. And his response was to beat her to death, strangle her, and then he would drag her corpse into the local bathhouse. And to make it look like an accident, he put her face down on a rake. Because, that happens to me all the time. I can't even tell you how many times I've gone to the bathhouse and I just got my face hit with a rake. But, Anyways, he also robs a passerby from Vasyetsky Polyani. So he would become found guilty of the murder as well as the robbery. And again, I apologize if I'm butchering the names. So the war begins now, right? And Wagner's like, we can't get nobody to sign up. Oh, we should pardon the prisoners after they return from the front line in Ukraine if they survive. 6 months of fighting. Let's see how they're doing. And then they get little other benefits, right? So after this contract with Amanda Waller expires, he would be permitted to return home to his native village. Yeah. So March 21st, 2023, he would return to that village that put him away. So what does he do? He's like, I'm threatening everyone. He's walking around drunk, holding a pitchfork and an axe, yelling, I'll kill everyone, I'll cut up your whole family. I mean, what a way to say, like, honey, I'm home. Yeah, that sounded real great. So this video footage of him smashing windows of like 2 cars with the axe, the local police would eventually detain him and hold him arrested for 5 days for minor hooliganism, right? So they knew he was a problem, but they couldn't, legally do anything without upsetting the Kremlin or Wagner. I can see where this is going. So can you imagine being the cop, the prosecutors, the judge, everyone, you put this guy away for 14 years, 3 years later, he's back in your city just starting shit. You don't want to piss off Wagner Group. You're caught in the midst of this crazy war. I mean, what do? Police Chief Vadim Varankin decided to protect the public. He lets the public know by March 28th, he's gone. Apparently, he was hidden in Novi Brest. And Vadim's argument was residents feel unsafe. A resident named Galina Sapozdnikova told the local news, we don't sleep at night. Not with this guy around, right? We got a businessman, Ruslan Rupasov, tells the news that their employees were afraid to go to work because Ivan was just out there. We had a similar situation when there was a murder in 2019. People were terrified of this man until they caught him and found him guilty, and everyone was like, what? Yeah, my God. And then now he's returned, and people are very afraid. They don't know what to do. They're even refusing to go to work. No one wants to be outside. He was the COVID of that town. So 20-year-old convicted killer was also sentenced to a maximum security prison, right? So it's supposed to be 14 years. So now, he's back home. He's accused of another murder. Who saw that coming? That's crazy. So he was back home for 8 days. It was labeled as like a break until someone discovered their mother's dead body, who was badly beaten and stabbed to death. That's crazy. I didn't see that coming. So police chief, again, Vadim Varankin, tells the news it was expected that he would behave oddly because this person is extremely erratic, problematic. It was to be expected. So through Vadim, I also learned that Ivan's time home was supposed to be like really short, like until May. It was like, hey, you fought good, go get laid, have a good time. And then within that time frame, he was like, nah, I want to kill a civilian. That's what happened. So instead of leaving, everyone thought he was gone, but he did not. He snuck around to stick around until he killed this woman. I feel like better eyes should have been kept on him because everyone was like, I don't trust him. But then again, with everything going on in Russia, it's kind of like, do they have the resources to do so? Was him just being gone, but like, good. So that this happens, Wagner's group, Yevgeny, was questioned about the situation. Like, yo, you pulled this guy out of prison. What the fuck? So he goes, right now, more than 5,000 people have completed a contract with Wagner and been pardoned. The percentage of those who committed a second crime within a month is 0.31%. This is 10 to 20 times less than the standard before the special military operation. Therefore, I can say with confidence, we have reduced crime in Russia tenfold. When pressed for more information and was questioned by a reporter, his response to the reporter was basically how they were like too busy searching in his garden for the corpse of his colleague. Yeah, he sounds like fun. Like we should all have him over for tea. So Yevgeny would also be sure to mention, like spoken like a true villain. Someone's got to write this in the comic books. I mean, it's spot on. But it should be noted that this whole time, out of thousands of those who were released, there were only 20 crimes. And a very important point. These people not only commit crimes much less than before, but thanks to the fact that they fought, a lot of your children, fathers and husbands, whoever they were, did not die. That is straight out of a comic. Anyway, so my question to you, viewer, is like, do you think having a real life suicide squad actually helps? I mean, how do you rehabilitate someone like Ivan back into society so you can put him into society temporarily and it's still safe? And how do you feel about private military companies, PMCs, being hired across the globe to, set up landmines and protect gold and people in power? If you rule the world, if I rule the world, right? What would you do? What would you do? What about the loved ones of the first woman that he murdered? I mean, they don't really get their justice, right? I mean, do you think now if he's convicted again of this other murder, is he going to be pulled out again by Wagner again for their Suicide Squad? Like, hey, we know you did that real bad thing, but we can get you out if you just like survive another war. I appreciate everyone's patience for like letting me like release this episode like super late. Because it was just, my God, there was so much to find, so much to find. I need your feedback. I need your feedback. I need more than just a like, a subscription. I need comments. I want you guys to tell me your thoughts on what's going on here. I mean, don't get me wrong. We all enjoyed Suicide Squad. It was a lot of fun. We were all like, oh my God, there goes the Avengers. Like, let's get Thanos. But, you know, at this point, we have a real Thanos and an Amanda Waller over there creating a Suicide Squad. Now, for those who have not returned home, you know, who've returned home and did not commit crimes, do you dismiss them? Like, did they learn their lesson? And what were they in jail for if the crimes were so petty? Was it legit crimes? Or was it for, like, talking back? Like, what are we talking? Was it for, like, carrying, like, a small ounce of weed? Like, I have so many questions. I just want to know. When I say I fell down the rabbit hole, I fell down the rabbit hole deep with this one. I was just, like, reading everything that England has printed about it. Because, like, I couldn't find as much as I would like to from American media. But, you know, I'm not going to say nothing about that. But, what do you do? And I don't know, I can't help but to wonder, like, okay, Ivan gets convicted. Wagner's just going to be like, hey, you know you did a really good job with the Ukrainian war? Like, let's just pull you out. Yeah, you'll be good. Like, we got you. It's Gucci. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't help but to wonder, like, what are the rules? Like, if you commit a crime and you, like, end up back in prison, do they just pull him back out again? Do you pull him back out? They have the most kills. Is he the Idris Elba? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how does this work? And, like, another thing is, if your country is invading another, and your citizens do not see a valid reason to go die in a war, maybe you should, like, reevaluate maybe some of your decisions. I'm just throwing some ideas out there. I'm just saying, like, doesn't it seem like a good time to be like, you know, this may not be what I think it is. This may not be what I think it is. I really want people's thoughts on this. If you have family that's in the Ukraine who maybe knows a little bit more about the story piece, feel free to, like, leave the comments. You know, fill it up. Let me know what you think. And I apologize also again for butchering any of the names. I'm actually currently learning Russian. Not because of the war, just in case if anyone was like, is that for the war? And it's not. I was actually just learning it beforehand, and then the war happened, and I was just like, oh, okay. So, like, I'm still working on my pronunciation for certain things, and I'm still, like, getting used to it. You know, saying, like, simple things. I've also been on Russian TV unintentionally. Also from some of my acting gigs. I only find this out because I was like, I saw you in Russia. And I'm like, why? Wait, how? So if there's a random black girl that kind of looks like me, it's probably me. But not like on a major TV show, just like random things like in the news. I forgot what the outlets were, but anyways, I don't know what to think about this case, because like you look at Ivan, like, yeah, Ivan's a problem, but then I'm like, Amanda Waller, Evgeny, is the one that pulled them out. Like, booby, that's you. And then you can't help but to look even further down it, and you're like, there's all these other private military corporations running around, and then you're just like, they're just guns for hire? Is that safe? Like, I don't know. There's a lot. And if you're from any of the other countries, Libya, Sudan, Mali, and Central Africa, like, and you got to witness any of the stuff that Wagner or any of the other private military corporations have done, feel free to leave your comment. Tell me more about this experience. Because I mean, when I say I went down the rabbit hole, I was lost in that rabbit hole, like very lost. I was just like, holy crap. Because I wanted to understand how, like, Dmitry Yevgeny, like, how do we get to this point where, like, you know, we should take out prisoners. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just have no thoughts. Or any additional thoughts right now. Because I'm just kind of like, That's a tough one. And I do apologize for not being able to get like additional photos, but I presume the Kremlin has a little bit of a tight situation on media that gets out, so I did my best when it came to Russia. But I do appreciate you guys for tuning in. Please, again, tell me what you think about this week's episode. I apologize it's late. Next week won't be as late. The next one is actually going to be based on America, so like, be a little easier to get the information and not dive as deep. Maybe. I don't know, that one's a weird one. Thank you guys as always, and as always, stay safe and stay vigilant. Woo, woo!